we are back. This is the chicken. The chicken and the vegetables. You see, it didn't come all the way up to the top, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not, there's nothing wrong with this. You can eat this. It's fine. Uh, it's it's airtight. There's nothing wrong with it. You can have it on your shelf for a year or more, and nothing is going to happen to you. Uh, it's it's airtight. There's nothing wrong with it. You can have it on your shelf for a year or more, and nothing is going to happen to you. See, it's airtight. You can push on that, and nothing. It's good. So this is the beef. It didn't come all the way up to the top. It's okay. You're not going to die. It's fine. It's airtight. See, you're fine. It doesn't look good. Like I said, they're not pretty foods, but they are delicious. Yesterday we had the roast, so I can't show you the roast because we ate it all. But it was in 3 jars because we had all the vegetables in it. I mean, I packed a lot of vegetables in it because I love the vegetables. And it stretches your meal too. If I would have cooked probably some macaroni and cheese and maybe another green bean or something with it, I did cook some rice, we probably could have stretched the meal further, but I mean, we really were hungry and we ate it all at the meal and we had everybody here. So I think that probably, it took 3 jars. It took 3 jars to put it in, and I had a lot of vegetables in it, like I said, and it was so good. I put a lot of onions in it, and they really bragged on it. I hate to brag on my own stuff, but whenever you put onions in your stuff and it's already pre-cooked, and it took 15 minutes to heat it up. I mean, it's like, you put it in your pot, you take your jars off, and I usually use a bottle opener to snap off the lids, and you put it in a pot, and then I go ahead and take 1 pack of brown gravy mix per jar. And believe me, it makes a difference on what kind of brown gravy mix you get. This is McCormick's brown gravy. This happens to say 30% sodium, less sodium. I prefer, the sodium in it. This is all we could find because of what was on the shelves. But I prefer this brand with or without sodium, this brand over anything. It just tastes better than anything. So I take 1 per jar. Even if I'm going to do a chicken stew, I do 1 per jar with this. And what I do is, like, if it's just me and my husband, it's just 1. You can always add another pack if you don't think it's enough. If it's more, it's more, then I'll add another jar and another pack. So what I do is I empty my jars in my pot, and then I take another glass of water and I empty out the package of brown gravy. I usually have 2 or 3 packs because I have 2 or 3 jars. And so I empty out my packs with lukewarm water or cool water, and I mix it up then, because you don't want to mix it up with hot water. You don't want to put it in your hot water there. You're going to have big old lumpy gravy, and then you're going to have to take all those lumps out and start over. Just do it like I say and put it in your glass, which most of you already know this anyway, but for those of you that don't, put it in your glass, mix it up to a liquid, and pour it in. And then you can pour it in like that, and then start heating it up, and you want to get it to a boil, at least 3, make it a rolling boil, and at least boil it for 3 to 5 minutes on a hard boil. And that is because, if it's been sitting up on the shelf for a year, you're going to want it to be, you've killed anything that could have possibly gotten in. You don't believe that anything's gotten in, but anything that could have, you've killed it. So, and if anything's wrong with your jar, it would probably have started foaming or seeping out the lid or starting to smell bad. But just in case, you go ahead and you start boiling it before you eat out of your jar. Now, I used to eat out of the cans at the grocery store. Whenever I open it up, I'd start eating the peas or something out the can. I don't do that anymore because I've read too many horror stories about people getting botulism because they have a little air hole or something in it where it got damaged, and then air seeps in and then you get botulism. So just go ahead and before you even dip into the can to taste it while it's raw, or not raw, I mean it's cooked, but while it's not sanitized, I say, go ahead and heat it up on the stove, put it on there, and heat your food up and get it to where it's safe, food safe, and heat it for like 3 to 5 minutes on a heavy rolling hot boil, and then taste it, and then start putting your seasoning in. You see, I said not to season it too much. I meant with like Tony's and garlic powder and onion powder. You can start doing that now once it starts rolling on a boil. Start seasoning it. But now you can put celery and onions and any kind of vegetables in with your pack. Now this was a raw pack. It was raw meat. It was raw meat. Go ahead and do a raw pack with your raw vegetables whenever you pack this. But only put in a half a teaspoon of salt. Now if I could do anything different, I would probably tell you to do this. This was some that I did probably 8 months or a year ago. This is the only one I have left on the shelf, and so this is why I chose this video first to do, is because I needed some more meat on the shelf, and I love having meat on the shelf, especially chicken. It tastes so good. It's not like any other chicken that you have in a can. I bought some dried chicken powder in New York at a Chinese market, and I came back and made a casserole with it, and it was the best casserole because it was just so good. It was like you could taste like the broth and the bone. They probably made it, it was all in that powder, and it just made it taste so rich. But my broth, whenever I taste this, that's what it tastes like. And so now I don't even have to try to find that powder anymore. I have it in my broth because it's a bone broth with the bone and I leave the skins on so that it'll have some of that taste, that rich taste in there. And so if you don't want your broth, I mean, you can always drain it out. But like say if you're making chicken salad, I might make chicken salad with this or something. I put celery in this, so I might make chicken salad with this. Or you can do soup with it. You can just boil your noodles and make soup with it. You can do so much with it. So this is my beef tips, and like I said, you can just add a pack of gravy, or you don't have to. It has kind of like a good taste to it, but it's not thick. It's just got like it has like a beef broth in it. So it's however you prefer it. We just like, my husband and my kids just like gravy. So, and my grandson, he likes gravy. So if I had to redo anything in the first video, I would say instead of adding this much water, like I said this much, because there was stuff in the jar, packed at the bottom, I might not have gotten this much. I might have only gotten that much. Go ahead and add a half a jar. Just don't overfill it, because if you overfill it, see, I did that much in the jar and I got that much water. So just do about a half a jar or around half a jar, because this is your head space right here that I was talking about. You don't want to fill it with any food or particles above the head space, and you really don't want your fluid to go above the head space, because if you do, then it's going to spill out and you'll end up with less. But it's okay. It just looks prettier when it ends up like this, but there's sometimes no way to tell whenever you do vegetables in here with your meat. Now, if you have a raw pack of just meat and you stuff all your meat in there, which I'm going to do one day, I'm going to do a raw pack meat, just nothing but meat in there, and you just stuff it full of meat all the way up to the head space, and I mean you cram it in there. You don't put any water, because that juice and that fat makes its own, and it'll come all the way, just about all the way up. So you won't have to add anything. And now you see your fats at the top. If you want to take your fat out of there, you can take your fat out of there. It's all hardened up. And I made a mistake in the first video. I said something like, what I meant to say was, can at your own altitude, because everybody that's watching has different altitudes. Now, for Louisiana, we have, for our altitude, you do 10 pounds at 90 minutes for meat or beans or low acid foods. This is a quart for a quart. This is a quart jar. I did mine for 90 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. I put my gauge on. Right after, I'll tell you how I did that part in just a second, but I made a mistake and I said it wrong. So I'm telling you now how to do it. You do it at 10, in Louisiana, 10 pounds pressure, 90 minutes. If you're in a different area, please go look online at a chart and find out what yours is. Now, when you put your jars in the pot, what you do is you put about this much water in the pots. You don't need any more water than that. Put your jars in, and then you put it on medium. You put it in between almost to high, and then you secure your pot on your lid. But you leave your gauge off. Leave your gauge off, and it'll look like this. It'll be sitting without the gauge on top. Before you even, it'll look like this. So leave your gauge off. And when it starts boiling and getting hot, your air will come through here and steam. And then once your air is steaming through there, then you put your gauge on. This is my 10 pounds of pressure. And then it'll start rocking, like I said. You don't want it to do that. You want it to, and then you turn it back down. If it starts doing this, then you need to turn it back down until it's doing this. And then once it's doing that, then you set your timer for 90 minutes. You see, you don't set your timer the minute it goes in the pot, because then you don't have a true timing. You don't have the true time. You don't have the true time for what you're doing. So once it's done, once your timer goes off 90 minutes, you turn your stove off and leave it alone. Do not open the pot up. You will crack your jars. You will hurt yourself. You will hurt yourself. Do not do anything. Usually I do mine before I go to bed. That way I won't, be tempted to do anything. I just go to bed. I get up in the morning and I come and in the morning it'll be like, so many hours, usually 8 hours or so, let's say. And then I get up and then they're done. And I come and I open my pot and I look at them and they're ready to go. And if they're still a little bit warm, you can take them out with this right here. You probably won't need these because there'll be just enough that where you can touch them. But so I think that covers everything. If you should have any questions, please give me a comment below, and please like and subscribe. I just figured out how to get all this stuff on YouTube. I had to upload and upgrade. Also, one more important point. Like I said before, you want all your jars to be tight. That's a tight seal. This, if you hear this, or if you can push on it and it dents, that's not. Put that jar in the refrigerator once it kind of cools down and eat that within the next couple of days. That's not a tight seal. That can't go on your pantry. These can go on your pantry shelf. You don't have to put it in the refrigerator. That can go on your shelf for a year or more or whatever. This you can eat. That, no. Okay, and another thing I want, before we close too, I want your opinion. These are some dried tomatoes, cherry tomatoes that I do. Dried spinach. I have a dehydrator. And in the comments, let me know if you're interested in maybe a class on that. I made my eggs with it this morning. I made an omelet with it. I really love drying foods and preserving foods. So please like and subscribe. I want to do some videos to teach people. And so Like and subscribe. I'm just getting started, so I mean, I know my videos are horrible, but I don't really know how to make a video, and I'm learning how to edit, and I'm learning how to do everything, so just bear with me. So have a good quarantine day, and have a great Resurrection Day coming up, and we'll see you. Bye.